beautiful Sunday morning in Washington, D.C., where there's so much going on. So went out this morning and stood in the garden and just soaked up the sun and just kind of just anchored right there in the present. So I kind of got fueled up, like going to the nature, to the source fuel station before coming here with all of you. This morning, we are going to focus on, or really drop into, presence, interbeing, being awake, our bodhisattva path, and alignment in the backdrop of what Joanna Macy calls the Great Turning, in the backdrop of all that's happening locally and in our world. So I love starting the year, I do every year, really stepping into the topic of alignment and what that means. And with the news of the day, the news of the week, the times we're living in, it's really, really essential more than ever. So let's begin with a practice, and just set an intention that your awareness and attention, as much as possible, is grounded in the body. The body is the experiencer of life. So let's do that together. I invite you to find a way to sit. You can move, adjust, feel your sits bones, your legs. You might do a slight spin, move your head. Just kind of moving the body, bringing awareness into the body. Little twist. That's why we have asanas and yoga. We do those first before meditation, just bringing awareness into the body and then allowing the body to settle, allowing it to just arrive. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Or not. If not, just gaze gently and softly at the ground or table in front of you. Just unfocused gaze. Bring attention to the life, the body that's right here. Feeling your body breathe. Wow. Just beginning our session together, our class, our time, beginning your day, resetting in your life on the miracle of being alive. You might scan your body for vital signs of being alive. Is it air coming in and out of the nose? The rise and fall of the abdomen? Perhaps it's the pulse in the neck at the carotid. Maybe with a hand on the heart, you can feel your heart beating. bringing awareness to the felt sensation of being alive. You might even invite gratitude. I have a hand on my heart. You're welcome to do so. And just bringing the words of the wonderful poet, teacher, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh into the heart, saying, I am home. I've arrived in the here and the now. Body as experiencer of life. Body as temple. Radiant essence of you shining through in this moment. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. In, here, out, now. We might bring awareness to the awareness that is shining through us in this moment. Awake, eyes open, internally and in the world, seeing clearly what's arising. Not looking away, not taking refuge in our usual exit strategies, but staying right here together. Being aware of awareness. Recognizing the truth of no self, emptiness, both full of vitality and empty to an ego-anchored sense of self. Rather, we make our home in the truth of our interconnection, in oneness, in our interbeing. As I say that, a smile naturally comes to my face. Oh, that feels so much easier than trying to go it alone. Bringing attention back to breathing. Feeling your body right here, breathing. Wow. Feeling the in-breath and the out-breath. Stabilizing the mind. Resting. And then widening the aperture, widening the awake looking, taking in this whole Sangha, feeling, sensing each person that's here, each person that's not here, recognizing the truth of our interbeing. And then we can widen further if that feels right for you in this moment, taking in the wider circle of practitioners of Buddhism, practitioners of all faiths on this Sunday morning. People singing in pews, on their knees in mosque, walking in nature. People with wide open hearts, as wide as the world. We enter our. We go together like a river. And now, if you like, widening the aperture, the attention, the awareness, the consciousness even further, including every sentient being. The neighbor, the ice agents, the grieving widow, the teachers, the doctors, the children. We hold it all with compassion. We notice our bodies, motion moving through, contraction, frustration or anger. Everything is welcome. Everything belongs. We push nothing away. Bringing attention back to breathing. Feeling and sensing our place in the family of things. Feeling the in-breath and the out-breath. We invite a stabilization of mind, resting attention again on the body breathing. We learn to go wide, to come back in. We learn to open ourselves to feel and and then to come in and rest. Follow a full cycle of breathing. The in-breath, the out-breath, and the place in between the breaths. Feeling one another's presence and love in the space in between the breaths. The Bodhisattva asks in times like this, am I doing enough? That point between awareness and action, between values and choice. What is mine to do? What is being asked of me? At the turning of a calendar year, at the turning of a democracy, at the choice points in your life, what is mine to do? What is love asking of me? Opening. Dropping the armor, the defended heart enough to listen. Bringing awareness to the broader stage of what's happening in our country or your own country, if you're listening to this somewhere. Asking, what is mine to do? Where might I be in action, aligned with my heart and what matters most? Living awake. And now you might narrow the aperture a bit more, coming right into your own life, scanning your own life. Work projects, where you volunteer, acts of service, where you give your resources, your time. Looking at your relationships, your community. Just sensing in the body, where do I feel out of balance? Where do I feel off? What needs my attention? Where am I not living in alignment? with values, with heart, with principles, with ethics. Just seeing clearly, living awake, staying, looking, meeting this area with curiosity and compassion. So much compassion. You might put a hand on the heart and say, "Dear one, I feel it. I can tell you're out of alignment here. You feel it. We're here. Everything belongs." Bringing awareness and compassion, we can ask, what is mine to do? What is a decision I need to make? A choice, a correction, a turn. Coming back into alignment. The Bodhisattva path. Feeling and sensing the interconnection, the interbeing of spiritual friends all around me. We move together like a river. We're not moving in isolation or aloneness. We've got each other. Taking a deep breath in here with that truth. Scanning the body. What's alive right now? What did you move or awaken or shake loose? Feeling the breath, sensing the felt sensations of breathing, allowing your body to be breathed. Living awake, living aligned, is how we make a meaningful contribution in these incredibly difficult times. It starts right here with us. Peace in oneself, peace in the world, says Thich Nhat Hanh. It begins right here in our awakened heart. The late Joanna Macy, beloved teacher, activist, with the most incredible light beaming from her eyes. Invites us to be awake and aware of the great turning. The turning of the earth, the turning of these times, the turning of our heart. Be awake at the choice points. Pause. Drop into the heart, bringing awareness down into the heart. What is mine to do? What will I do today? Sometimes the doing is being. In fact, the secret is all the time. How will I be today? I'd like to end this meditation with the mantra, the gatha that I say every morning for the last 29 years. Words of Thich Nhat Hanh. Waking up in the morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are in front of me. I vow to see all beings with the eyes of compassion. I'll invite the bell, and I invite you to allow the sound to just reverberate through your body as the experiencer of life. The Plum Village bell inviting you home. Taking a deep breath in, an audible exhale, opening your eyes when you're ready. Stretching the body. Twisting arms, standing up if you like. Squeezing the legs. Just opening the chat. You're welcome to take a moment and scan the body, feel the heart, tune into whatever's arising. You can share that in the chat, a word or two. If you like. You also can just massage it right in. Hearts floating up. Thank you, Francesca. Just being deeply present. Deeply here. So this morning, as I mentioned and as I guided us through, we're talking about being awake on the Bodhisattva path, living with alignment at this time of the Great Turning. And There's a lot happening. On January 7th, the killing of Nicole Macklin Good reverberated around the world on the heels of our government seizing a sitting leader. And there's a lot to take in. We don't know Nicole personally, but we could get a sense of her sparkling, radiant, compassionate heart. Another life taken, another family shattered, another wave of grief and fear, anger. We've had a lot of these moments, and in those times it's really hard to stay present. The emotions are flooding. Those are physiological sensations. And we want to turn away, some of us. Some of us feel flooded. Some of us wonder, how do I live awake in a world where this keeps happening? And this is not an abstract question. The question of how do I live awake and aligned is the lived edge of our practice. This is it. My teacher, my core teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, he teaches, as many beautiful teachers do, but a core teaching of Thai is that we are not separate from the world we are responding to. We are not separate. He used the word interbeing to point to the truth. What happens out there, what happens in Minneapolis, what happens in Venezuela, what happens in Washington, D.C., or Ukraine, or any place is not really out there. That's a huge paradigm shift. Because when violence occurs, we feel grief and fear and rage. And this is not a failure of our practice. This does not mean we are not compassionate, grounded, present, calm, full of equanimity. Nothing rocks me. No. We feel it all because we are awake. It's the evidence of connection. When we don't know what's happening in the world, we don't feel anything, we're numb, that's actually when our practice is not kicking in. When we feel these emotions, it means our hearts are alive. In the language of Joanna Macy that I called in during our meditation, it's part of the Great Turning. It's a time, the Great Turning, she says, is a time when the old ways, the old institutions, the old value systems, the old models are breaking down. And the pain of the world becomes harder to ignore. It's not because we're weaker, it's because we're more awake. As many of you know, I moved a few months ago from my beloved cottage by the sea in Annapolis, Maryland, and Eastport. I moved to a place where a clearing in the trees. I feel like the poet Martha Postlewaite was talking about this space right here when she talked about the clearing. I moved to the clearing, and it's been a turbulent move as what they tend to be. Especially, it was right before Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I celebrate and hosted, and the boxes. I thought I downsized last year, but there's evidence to the contrary. And I seem to just keep having boxes to unpack. And In the last few days, I opened, I think, like 14 more boxes and emptied them. Finally, though, most of these were books. My beloved teachers were waiting for me quietly inside these boxes. And I got the books out, and they were all over, and some candles and some family dishes and things. And so the tables are covered, floors, everything is covered with stuff. And that is sort of a metaphor for what happens when Joanna's talking about the breaking down of old models, institutions, ways of doing things, and then everything is out. We're seeing it all, we're feeling it all. And I was aware of that when I'm moving through last night and this morning, looking at everything, that it's the messy of the uncovering, of the unpacking, putting it out. Let's see, let's look at it. Let's take inventory. And so that's what we're living in. We're living in the, when we have the courage to not look away, the seeing of it all. And when we have the courage to not armor up, the feeling of it all in the body. Awake awareness is not numb. Awake awareness does not harden. Awake awareness feels without being consumed, without being swept away. We can acknowledge, we see, we feel, and we stay grounded and centered. There's many ways we can do that. Partly is practicing Sangha. Another beloved teacher that I know many of us cherish is Pema Chodron. And she reminds us, in so many of her teachings and beautiful books, Living Beautifully with Uncertainty and Change, The Places That Scare You, that the practice is to stay. So as we watch the news of Nicole, as we look at the turning back of so many of our advances in policy, it's to stay with the discomfort, to stay with the uncertainty, to stay with a tender heart. It's not passive to do that. It takes courage. So right now, let's anchor this teaching, not as an idea, but as a lived experience. See if you can return to feeling the body, just as we did in our meditation, tracking the vital signs, heartbeat, breathing. Notice the support beneath you, floor, chair. Feel the breath moving. Ordinary. Alive. Noticing sadness if it's there, letting it be there. Noticing anger, let it be there. Perhaps there's numbness, lack of feeling, lack of emotion. Let the numbness be there too. We practice being in relationship to what is. We are both in relationship in a dual way, subject object. Here's what's happening in the world. Here is us, conscious awareness, witnessing. And then we recognize that we are We are this world, the non-dual reality. It's not just out there, it's in here. And we can just say, it's like this right now. And this too belongs. This is awake awareness, not turning away, but meeting life with care. So the first step in living with awake, aligned awareness is really spending enough time in the awareness piece, in the seeing, in the clear seeing, in the allowing. We really want to rush through that. I want to witness something on TV. I want to get my markers and my cardboard and make a sign and go. I want to go right into action. The first step is being, is seeing, witnessing it all, sensing what's here in the body, allowing emotions to move, recognizing that we belong to this world. Our capacity to feel is not a problem to solve. The capacity to feel is the ground of compassion and wise response. Many of us take a bypass right through the feeling part. I mean, who wants to feel this? But we do. That's the practice. When we allow ourselves to stay present with the world as it is, without turning away or hardening, then we can then say and can ask, how do I live from love rather than from fear or overwhelm? And that is the heart of alignment. How do I live from love while opening to the world and not from fear? There are a lot of people that get like questions or keywords tattooed on them. I think the author Glennon Doyle shared not long ago that she has a tattoo that says, "Be still." And the former NBC News anchor Dan Harris, I think, has a tattoo about I think the words of, metta, tattoos to remind us to constantly be right there, teaching us how to stay aligned on the path. And I think this question of how do I live from love and not from fear or overwhelm, that question would be a pretty good tattoo. So we ground in awake awareness, and then we move into the second point of this morning's class, which is alignment and the Bodhisattva path. And that's this piece of alignment often begins with this question of, am I doing enough? What can I do? What is mine to do? We're surrounded by urgency, and the urgency is real. Messages and encouraging us, moving us, nudging us to act and speak and fix and respond. And we often end up in our busyness, in our frenetic sense of urgency, disconnected. How ironic. We end up disconnected from ourselves. We end up exhausted, reactive, resentful, burned out. Some of us know what it's like to say yes when the body says no, or to stay silent when there's something that wants to move in us or to speak. So in this part 2 of this morning's class, it's about in that grip of like, God, what can I do? It's that that ground that we established in part one in the body, being awake, seeing it all, feeling it all. Then we come together and we ask, what is mine to do? We look at the intersection of awareness and action, of values and choice, of love and limits or boundaries. This is where we know how to titrate back and forth in the midst of the protest, back home, in self-care. We learn how to ask, not what should I do, but rather, what is being asked of me? Inherent in the question, what is being asked of me, is this attunement to something bigger than ourselves, to the unified field, if you take the science perspective, to source, the field of love, if you're anchored in that perspective. I'm kind of right in both. What is being asked of me here and now? That's the tattoo on the other hand. Sometimes the most aligned action is visible and outward. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna be on that street corner, I'm gonna be in front of that auto dealership, I'm gonna be in front of the White House. Sometimes the most aligned action is quiet, resting, listening, tending to the small corner of life. Pema Chodron reminds us that staying open does not mean saying yes to everything. It means staying connected to our own inner truth, even when the ground feels shaky. Alignment is not fixed. Alignment is alive, just like we are. It's anchored in the truth of impermanence, that every moment is changing, that we are changing, and so that requires listening again and again. I invite you to close your eyes again for a reflection. Moving into your own body, your own life, and asking very gently, is there anything that feels unclear or heavy, fuzzy or foggy, out of balance? Is there any tightening when you think of a certain area of your life or relationship? Maybe it's your health, maybe you're ignoring your finances. Maybe you're isolating from family or ignoring some important relationships that need tending to. Just feeling the body. And without forcing an answer, just big, loving, compassionate inquiry. Just asking, what response to this situation, this area of my life, this person, would come from care rather than fear? What would love do? What feels at ease? What's coming from the heart? Not who's right, who's wrong. No transactions here. What would care do? Wise heart. You don't need a full plan. Alignment comes and begins as a felt sense. What would love have me do? It's subtle. Let that be enough. Opening your eyes if they were closed. As we kind of move to the final point in this morning's class, the beginning of a new year, I want to uncover another layer that's often happening in these moments of the great turning, the big choices, beginning of a new year. And that is, a lot of my students will share that they have the question of like, does what I do matter? Does this action matter? When problems feel so large, when we keep going after the same thing and then we get hit with another shock, violence or climate crisis, division, and it just keeps, the energy of the core of what's going on just keeps coming with a different coat on, a different face. It can be easy to feel small or overwhelmed. Some shut down, some people push harder, but they both come from the same core place. And that's not knowing or not being sure how to hold the weight of this moment. So Joanna Macy calls this moment, when we feel that, a choice point. When the systems are unraveling, something is struggling to be born. Otto Scharmer at MIT's Presencing Institute calls that moment, he has a U curve. We're letting go on one side, we get to the bottom point of presencing, we come up the other side of the U, that's the letting come. This U curve, this great turning, this choice point is not a single event. It's the process happening through countless small, faithful acts, intentional choices. So what matters most is not the question, does this action matter? It's how we're showing up. It's that we do show up with presence, with compassion, with kindness. It's how we listen. It's how we care. It's how we speak. That itself is an action. Our way of being is a response. The Bodhisattva path reminds us that we're not here to save the world alone. We're here to participate. So let's close with just a felt shared moment together. I have one hand on my hara, below my belly button, the core, another hand at the heart, feeling the feet on the ground, breath moving in and out. Taking a deep breath in, dear one, sensing that you are alive. My presence matters. My care matters. Notice what happens in the body and the heart when you say my presence, my being, my loving, compassionate heart matters. It radiates out in widening circles. I tend to my heart. I care for my body. And then we extend out that awareness, opening the heart like a flower fresh, Whatever is here is welcome. My boundaries soften, opening the heart as wide as the Sangha, feeling my siblings, the other beings here, moving with me, walking with me, making posters with me, lamenting with me, making tea and laughing with me, dancing with me. Envisioning all of us sitting in the clearing, shoulder to shoulder, one hand on our heart, the other hand on the back of the person next to us. Feel the weight of that hand on your own back, pressing a little into your heart, pressing a little into that back, sending and receiving. Energy flowing back and forth. May you find peace in these times. May you be safe. May you be protected. May you be healthy and strong. May you know that you are love. May you move from a place of awake awareness, aligned to your heart, to your values, to love. Taking a deep breath in. An audible exhale, opening your eyes when you're ready. Thank you, dear ones.